Hi guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be teaching us how you can cut and sew the upper part of this dress, and it's called a scissors neckline bodice. So let's get started. Now, to draft this bodice, you need to know how to draft a basic bodice pattern. I've done this, so I'll be dropping a link to my previous tutorial on how to draft a basic bodice pattern. So this is the front pattern and the back pattern. Okay, so if you don't know how to do that, I will drop the link somewhere below or in the description box, okay, on how to draft the basic bodice. Now we are going to be adjusting the shoulder. So initially I used 3.5 inch for my neck width, right? So because of the nature of the neckline, we are going to be adjusting the shoulder. So from the neckline there, I'll make my shoulder 1.5 inch, meaning the width of the shoulder is going to be 1.5 inch. I'll do the same thing for the back pattern. Okay, from the neck width there, I'll mark 1.5 inch. Okay, so we have established the shoulder. If you want yours to be wider than that, you can just leave the initial shoulder blade there. Okay, now starting on the back pattern, we have to readjust the armhole since the shoulder is now the shoulder blade is now smaller. Okay, so this is what we're going to be using now. Okay, then for the neck depth, you can actually choose any neck depth you want. So I'll just do 2 inch. Then I'll use my French curve to create the neckline like so. Okay, so we're going to cut out the back now. It's very simple. The work is in the front. Okay, so I will cut out. So this is my neckline for the back, and then we're cutting through the new armhole since we're reducing the back and the shoulder. Okay, so I've added my side seam allowance already. Okay, the only part I'll be adding allowance to is the armhole, the neckline, and the waistline. Okay, I have my allowance. I'll be cutting this on my fabric. Now coming to the front pattern, which is where we have the main job to do. Okay, make sure your front pattern is on fold. Okay, then instead of the regular shoulder that we have, we're going to be having our princess dart. Okay, so for the princess dart, it can stop mid armhole, it can be above or lower, whichever one. Okay, so but from the basic bodice pattern, we usually do our normal shoulder dart. Okay, so before we do that, I need to adjust the front neckline too. Okay, so sorry, the front armhole. Remember we marked 1.5 inch away from the neck width, so I'm also adjusting the front armhole. So this is it here. Okay, so we won't be making use of the former armhole in the front pattern, right? So just follow me step by step. Now I'm going to be finding the midpoint of my armhole. So from the slanted shoulder to the shoulder line, that's about 4 inches approximately. Okay, so now I'm going to draw the curve of my armhole princess dart. Oh, sorry, that was an error. Sorry, I was supposed to mark the midpoint on the initial armhole. Sorry, the initial armhole of the pattern. Yeah, that's where I'm going to be marking the mid armhole. So from there I'll mark, yeah, so I'm supposed to mark it on the initial armhole, not on the new one. Okay, so I can use my ruler to draw this first to the mid armhole, then I'll blend up with my French curve, or if you're already good with the French curve, you can use the French curve directly. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so this is how the armhole will look like. But now that we're done with drafting on the armhole, we don't need the old armhole again. Okay, now it does just help us to get the point of our armhole on the, sorry, princess dart on the new armhole. I hope that is making sense. Now I'm going to trace this with my tracing wheel. I'm going to trace everything on this side of the pattern paper, and I'm also tracing my new armhole. You can see that I'm no more using the old armhole again. So I'm tracing everything, the shoulder, the armhole, the waistline, everything. That's the beauty of using the tracing wheel. It reduces your work rate, especially if you have to transfer, information from one side of a pattern to the other or to your fabric. You don't have to start drafting all over again. Okay, so once you trace, you use your marker to trace out what you've traced with the tracing wheel. Right now, we're going to start the construction of the scissors neckline now. So I forgot to trace the shoulder line here, so let me just quickly do that. Okay, so this is it here. All right, so I'm going to open up now. Next thing, okay, like I said, we don't need this part again, just the inner one now. Okay, and I've also traced that to the other side of my body. So this is my bodice now. Okay, so we want to create the scissors neckline. All right, so at this point you need to pay maximum attention, okay, because the pattern looks a little bit confusing, but it's not. Just pay attention. All right, so the scissors neckline runs from one part of the shoulder into the other side of the bodice and vice versa. Okay, so and then for the one we are about to draft, there's a little opening around the center front. Yeah, so now this is my center front line here where I have the fold. Okay, there's a little opening. So first thing first, you need to determine the neck depth. So we should do at least 4. Okay, then I'll link my armhole here, the neckline, the neck depth, and the shoulder tip there. Okay, can you see that? Yeah, so we don't need here again. All right, I hope we're following. We don't need the upper part there again. Now next step is to determine the center front. Okay, here now, like I said, from the picture there's an opening around the center front. There's no close there, so it depends on what you want. If you want there to be an opening, then you leave it. So from here now, I'm going to link it to my center front here. Okay, now concerning the opening, I will come out by at least half an inch or quarter of an inch, depending on how much you want to expose. But if you don't want the opening, just use the center front line directly. Okay, so that way it will just overlap. There won't be any opening. Okay, so but according to the style we're doing, there's an opening, so I'll just mark half an inch this way, and then the opening is up to, like, I think the underbust line. Okay, so I'll use my ruler now or my curve to connect this to the underbust line. Then I'll draw a straight line and link to the shoulder tip there. Okay, it's a very simple tutorial. Just try to watch it a few times before you go ahead to try it out. Okay, so my opening will stop at the underbust line here, so I'll link it this way. You see that? Okay, so if you don't want the opening, just maintain the center front line. Okay, and then I'll just continue like so to the chest line, or somewhere below the chest line, anyway how you want it. You just come up like so, and then I'll link this now to, okay, so I'm going to use my pattern master now to link this to the other edge of the shoulder like this. Okay, so our pattern is getting ready already. Now I know this might look confusing, but we don't need the side of the pattern again, just the one we just came up with, and the side panel. Okay, so we are going to be cutting out. I've just labeled the parts that we need, 1, 2. Okay, so we are going to cut out. Now before we cut out, we need to blend our bust dart. Okay, so I'll cut out my bust darts like so, and then I'm going to fold it. Okay, I also cut out my waist dart. so that I can blend the bust dart. Okay, so some of us always wonder where this bust dart formula came from. Well, I'm a huge fan of Helen Armstrong. She has a great pattern drafting book. It's very easy, very very interesting to follow. So that's who I follow. Yeah, Helen Armstrong. So that's where I got the idea of bust dart. I get that a lot. Like, why are we using bust dart? Why are we doing this? So that's it. So I'm trying to blend up now. Okay, so um I'll use my masking tape to hold this down. Okay, and then I'll cut off my excess at the side. Now because it's a sleeveless dress, okay, you can tend to have what we call gaping around um the bust area. So to prevent the gaping, okay, we're going to be doing contouring. Fine. So for the contouring, we're going to be marking at least 3/4 of an inch on both sides. So I'll mark 3/4 of an inch on both sides of the line there, of my princess style line. Then I will blend up with my French curve like this. Yeah, so I'll just now, after blending up, okay, by the time you want to join the sides together, it will not be equal. Okay, yeah, I'm just folding both sides for us to see, so that we can see it won't be equal. So you need to blend up the darts. Okay, so you can use your French curve after folding. Use your French curve to reshape the armhole, just to blend it up. Okay, and then you just cut separately, or to make it easy for everybody, because I know some people don't like all these manipulations. To make it easy, you can just fold the dart and cut while the dart is already folded, so that way any necessary blending that you need will just be there. Okay, so you can just fold like this and then just follow the curve of the fold. So I'll just cut like that, you see that. Okay, so then I'll just trim off the excess. Yeah, so at this point I'll be cutting 2 of this on fabric and 2 on lining. Meanwhile, I'm using the same fabric as my lining and fabric. So for this I have 4 pieces here. 2 serve as fabric for front, and 2 as the lining. Okay, so I'll go ahead now and sew. I've added all my seam allowances. I'll sew my dart on the back pattern. And for the front, we also have 4 pieces each of this. Okay, if you're using regular Ankara fabric, you just do 2 each, then 2 lining. But since I'm using the same fabric, so I have 4 pieces each. So I'm taking out the patterns, and I want to just show us, like, to have a visual reference or visual look of what we are trying to achieve. Okay, so this is the side and the center front panel. So you have something like this, and after sewing, I'm going to cross each other like this. Okay, and then you have that opening in front. Okay, you see that, right? And then you have the 2 side pieces. So this is what we are trying to achieve, right? So now I will go to my sewing machine now, okay, and join the center front and the side front. So I'll join these 2 pieces together like this, 1/2 inch together, 1/2 inch together. This side 1/2 inch together, the other side 1/2 inch together. So let me just do that with my sewing machine. Do not forget to add all your seam allowances. Okay, so I'm done joining. So this is what you should have after joining with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So this is one side, and this is the other one. So this is how it's going to look like. You see that? So now I'm going to line each of this. Each of them have lining. So I'm going to place them together, right side facing right side. So I'll go ahead now and sew with 1/2 inch here and here also. There. Same thing with the other piece. Do not forget to add your seam allowances, please, when you're cutting the pattern on the fabric. So I'll also be joining with 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here. So let me do that. Alright guys, so this is what it's looking like already. It's a very easy tutorial, trust me. I did this in less than an hour. Okay, so you can see the opening there. All right, so now I've placed them on top of each other. You can actually cross it either ways, whichever one you want to. Now, if there was no opening, okay, both of them would have overlapped at the waistline. Then you won't have an opening. Okay, but this is for those that want an opening. So I'm going to just pin. I will pin this down. I'll just pin it so that it will not shift. Okay, so you should always work with your pins. It helps you to reduce um, lots of time wasted on using seam ripper. It also helps you to reduce a lot of errors while sewing. Okay, so I'm just pinning, and this is the opening there. So now I'll do a top stitch. Okay, either from the top there or from somewhere around here. Just top stitch down up to the point where the opening starts. Then I'll place the front and back together at the shoulder. I'll join with half an inch there. Second one, I'll join with half an inch on the other side here. Okay. Yeah, I've already sewn the neckline and the armhole of the shoulder back pattern. So I'll also join the side seam with 1 inch seam allowance, and then I'm done. So you could actually add any kind of skirt you want to give you a dress. So this is the bodice here. It's a very easy tutorial. You can add a circle skirt, a pencil skirt, wherever to it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Please leave your comment and reaction. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.